We're going to make an audio about converting your old cassette tapes into MP3s. Now, in this tutorial, you'll be able to convert them into different other than something MP3, but this MP3 is what most people convert to. Here is the capture device that I use. It's on Amazon. If you go to Amazon and just simply type in, you know, cassette to MP3 converter, you'll get a list, and all of them will work pretty much the same. This is the one that I use. Show it to you quickly. This is the front of the capture device. This is not a plug. What this is a slide lever that will actually open up the front of the case where you can insert your cassette tape. Here is a dial that controls the output volume of the cassette as it's being captured by the computer. Here is the USB plug. It comes with a short one, very short. I got a longer one, but it'll work. And then here is the earbud slot. Up on top are the dials. I should be able to show them to you better in a moment. Let's go to the next little picture. In this picture, what we see is the size of it. It's 4 inches in the, width, and I guess the way it has it laying, and then it's 3 inches in its height. It's very small. In this particular image, what we're looking at is how it connects. You put the cassette into the cassette capture device, of course, and then it comes with a plug, and that's about how long it is. It's very short. It's a foot to 18 inches, but it'll work. And then, of course, you plug it into your USB on your computer. It comes with software. I don't use this. I'll show it to you more in just a second, though. And then it says that it converts it into an MP3 file. Next image, it shows you it opened. This is the case opened. And what you see are the magnetic heads. They're right there. Magnetic heads. It's got two. It will record. It will output either way. It will read from the going in one direction, and then it will automatically change and go to the other direction if you have it set that way, and I'll show you that in a second. Here are the spindles. So works pretty simply. It has an automatic reverse. There it shows it to you. This dial here, the way it has it laying in that particular direction, is an auto reverse. You can slide it over the other direction and it will only record in one direction. By clicking that button right there, you can change it yourself. If you're in the middle of one and you want to change sides, you can click that button and it will automatically change. While I'm here looking at these, this button right here is fast forward, this button is fast reverse, this button is stop, and then this button is play, where I am pointing. Probably get a better picture of that in just a second. This one will power by 2 AA batteries. Mine powers also, and I'm thinking this will as well, off of the USB plug. Then here, what we see is what all comes with it. Here are the little instruction manual. It's pretty simple. Here is the software CD. Here is the USB cord, and here are some earbuds that come with it as well. And here is, they're trying to show it to you. If it were that big, it would probably be nice. It's very, very amplified there. It's 3 inches by 4 inches. So this is the device. Let me look over here. It's $26.99. This particular one is, and again, you can scroll. They're all going to work about the same and do pretty much. It's a gray metal. What it comes with is the 5 pieces, the USB cassette capture, and then the USB cable, and the software that comes with it. It's Audacity. The software is, I don't use the Audacity simply because I have something better, but Audacity would work fine, and it would be very, very simple to use. Comes with the software and the earbud jack, earphones, and the user manual. So that's the device itself. You will need one to capture your cassettes. Okay, let's now go to what I do use. I use Adobe Audition. I like Adobe Audition over Audacity because it gives me way more things I can do as far as editing, and that's what I need to do from time to time. As many tapes as I copy and use. Now, let me show you this again. This particular device, I have probably captured now over 200 cassette tapes. It's never once failed me. It's been perfect as far as that goes. You may say, how in the world do you have 200 cassette tapes? Well, before I retired, I was a minister at a church, and I would share from 2 to 3 times every week, and for until we were able to capture onto DVDs or CDs or a hard drive device that was better. But until that time, we captured onto cassette tapes. And so over those years, probably ended up with around 800 cassette tapes. And so I'm in the process now of converting them and putting them onto my website. So that's why. Now going, close that back again and going back here, back to Adobe Audition. Let's do one. Let's actually capture one, and then we'll edit it. Let me help you set up on if you're not familiar with Audition. You will go to Edit and go to Preferences, and then go to Audio Hardware. Under Audio Hardware, this is the only selection you'll probably have. You want your input to be whatever that your device is. As I just showed you my device, this is it. Those are the options that I specifically have. It's the USB PNP audio device. That's the one we'll be using. The output device, or whatever that you want. Here are my headphone plugins. This is the headphones that I'm using at the moment. So that's the one I want. Master clock is the same thing. That's what it's going to consider as the master. Latency I have set on 200. You can set that wherever that you want. You can play around with it to get the sound that you want as far as latency goes. And then my sample rate, I put it 44,100. Now 44,100. Now the reason I do is that's sufficient for me. If you want a better quality, you can go up to 192,000, or if you're not concerned about size at all, or you're not concerned about size, that's where you would go. If you're concerned about size, you can go even smaller. So that's what I set up. So okay, let's close that. Go back now to File, New. What I'm going to go here to is audio file. You can do multi-track sessions, but if you do multi-track sessions, then you're going to enter into some extra steps that I don't want to do. Now the benefit of doing a multi-track session is that you can hear while you are recording. The way you do on an audio file is you cannot hear what you are recording, except you can plug into your device, your capture device that I showed you on Amazon, and you can plug in and hear it that way with your earbuds, and that's what I do. So that's I want a new audio file. I have my file titled, let's see, I'm going to title this Cassette to MP3 with Audition. That's what I'll title it. My sample rate will be 44.1 as we set over on the setup, on the preferences. I want to record in stereo. You don't have to. You can do mono or 5.1. Bit, I do 16. You can go as low as 8 or as high as 32. 16 works well for me and gives me the size that I can handle. So okay, now here we go. We see the black screen here, which is the record screen, and we have everything all set up. So we will now click the red record button. The dial will begin to move. Now I am pressing my capture device and it's running. It's the excess tape right there. There it's beginning to capture. What I like to do is capture between 6 and 6. I like it a little low, and the reason is, as I'll show you later on, I will adjust my audio. And sometimes, of course, in ministering, I would get loud, and so I want to make sure I don't peak out. I watch it run for a few minutes, and then I will go do something else while it's running. This particular tape is probably going to be about an hour long, give or take. So I'm going to let that run, and then after it's captured, I will get back and we'll finish editing it. The capture has completed. We know this in a couple of ways. We see that there's nothing happening on the right side of the capture plate, and so another way would be to have earplugs plugged into the device itself and listen and know that it had ended. So what I do is I normally will eliminate some of this and then get it all out in just 1 second. I'll show you how I do that. So I click in here and turn the select all off. Now I have the black screen, and I'm just going to click close and then left click and drag to the right, then hit delete, and it's gone. Now there's a couple of ways to enlarge, and I want to get down here where I can see what I'm doing to the right side. I want to get there. You can click down here on these and it will increase or decrease or increase more or decrease, and that's about where it's at. But the way I prefer to do it is by dragging these handles. These handles will zoom in exactly where I want it to go. So I'm down on the end now. What I want to do is eliminate from the last thing heard. Now you can hear it, so I'll play just a moment.
Take it and break it.
Okay, so that's the end, and so I'll just get right off the end of it. That's it, and then I'll again right click and drag. So all that's gone. While I'm here, I want to fade out. So this square at the top right will allow me to fade out. So I'll grab it with the left click and then just see I can fade it all. I just want a couple of seconds just to fade it out as something like that. Now I go to the other end of the file of the capture, and just before the audio begins,
Other guy, we can.
okay, I'll put it right there. Now when I go to the left, I'll need to hold down the shift and then click in there and drag it to the left and hit delete, and that's gone. So both ends now are pretty well trimmed out. As I mentioned before we finished up the capture, I want to click down here and that will show it all. I said that I have a tendency to, that's why I start, I try to keep it down between 6 and 6, minus 6 and minus 6 here, just so that I won't peak out. Well, you see, I did get loud. I have a tendency to do that when I'm speaking. And so I need to make sure that my audio is correct. So the next thing I do is I will now do a match volume. What this will do is it will help that. It's going to eliminate the peaking out, and where you will find match volume, if it's not showing you the tab, under Windows, come down to match volume and select it, and the tab will show. So let's do match volume. What we do is we click on that, hold it, and drag it down into that box. Now, the settings, you'll find the settings, and then you set them to whatever that you want. I think everything is default except for this 18, minus 18. It will probably have a 12 on the default. That's a little loud for me. I like 18. That's what I capture at. So I'm going to, excuse me, I got my throat. I'm sorry. But the minus 18. And so what I'm going to do now is just click the run button right there, and it starts analyzing it first. It analyzes the entire file, which is, let's see, hour and 10 minutes or so long. It's going to take a few seconds to do a file like that. Doubt you will have one that will be that long. It'll analyze it first, then it will apply what it's analyzed, and then it will save the analyzed file. It's pretty quick with a shorter file. Of course, this is an hour and 10 minutes, so it takes a few seconds. And there it is. And now it's going to apply what it's analyzed. Goes a little faster. And now it will, as you saw, it brought that down out of the peaking area, and it saved it to where I want it to be. So that's the audio volume that I like to save at. Now you may like a louder volume, you may like a less volume. It's something you can adjust by where I had the minus 18. If you want it louder, you would go closer to 0, and if you want it lower, then you would go higher than minus 18. And it's about saved, and there it is. Okay, so there's my audio volume. Now what I'll do is, I have a tendency when I speak to pause between sentences or words, and it sounds slow to me. So I like to eliminate that. What I want to do next then is, instead of working on that first, let me zoom in. I want to show you this. I just noticed this that I need to fix. If I zoom in, you'll see these gaps. And this is what I was just speaking about, where I would pause too long sometimes between words. But also what I want to show you is that right in here in this gap, if I just play this, and this will cause what I'm about to do to continuously play, looping it. So if I play that, you hear that little buzz. Well, what Audition will allow us to do is get that buzz out. Now, sometimes some tapes, according to the microphone or the recording device or something, will have a buzz in it, and it will be constant, and it will show up in these spaces where there's a pause. And if you'll just select it, then you can actually get this out. So I'm going to select that. That's the sound that I want to eliminate from this tape. I go to Effects, Noise Reduction and Restore, and then press Capture Noise Print. Now that captures that humming that you heard there. You must click out of it now and allow the entire frame to be available. So go back to Effects, back to Noise Reduction and Restore, and then Noise Restoration Process. This box will come up, and according to these settings, it will work. So you can play with it. I think on the defaults it's like 140, Well, I like 40 on the top and 40 on the bottom, or right at 40. I'm 41 right here. And then I will say apply, and it will do the entire capture and remove that buzz that we heard. Again, this is an hour and 10-minute file, so it's going to take it a few seconds to do it. At first, it's applying that noise reduction. This line will now be smaller. There it is. Now if I select that and then play it again, make sure it's on looping and play. Now you cannot hear it. Very good. Very good. Now, in these spaces,
She called me and she wanted me to come pray for him.
in these gaps, what we want to do is, and I stopped it by hitting the space bar. In these gaps is where I'm talking about where I pause too long. So I use them to get out to work with noise reduction, but I don't want them in my final. So now let's get those gaps out where I would pause too long to me and seem to lose energy. So what I want to do now is go to Diagnostics. If you don't see Diagnostics, it's under Window, and then Diagnostics. Select it, and it'll give you the tab. So click on Diagnostic, and again you'll have the default settings. What we want is the delete silence. So we want delete silence. You have the declicker and then the mark audio. So we want delete silence, and then you can get the different settings. I have a custom setting. I think these are all default in this area here, but what I've changed is this one. Now what this tells it to do is how long I want. Anything this length or longer, it's going to remove for me. There's one more setting that's very important. It's shortening silence or delete silence. Delete silence doesn't sound normal. So I like the shortening silence selection. Again, you can experiment. So shortening silence. Now with this setting, and you can change it to anything you want. I like 999. That's my preferred setting. It's 999 milliseconds. So that works well for me. Now I am going to now click scan. It's going to scan the entire file again, and it's going to locate all the places that fit into this arena, and it's going to call them problems. Okay, now it's found 170 problems. Now these are all in this arena here by these settings, but all of those 170 are not in the 999. What I want to do now is eliminate the 999 milliseconds. Anything 999 or over, like 1 second or over, it's going to take it out. And so what we want to do, I'm going to go now and expand so we can see the entire capture. And all of these places where you see these tiny gaps, these are a second or even longer. As you watch it work, you'll see those disappear, and there'll be nearly a one solid capture. So what I'm going to now do is a 170 and 0 problems repaired. So now I'm going to tell it to delete all. Click on delete all. Watch my pointer. And the pointer begins to spin, and it's working. Now watch these tiny gaps, and you'll see them all come together. Again, 1 hour and 10-minute audios take a few seconds. There it is. Now all of the gaps are gone. It's a solid audio file. Now I'm ready to save. So I'm going to save it, File, and I'd save as. Here's my title, but if you notice, it's going to save it in a WAV format. I don't want WAV, I want MP3. So here is the folder that it's going to put it in, and then right here is the format. Now here are the different types of formats that you can save it into. I want to save as an MP3. It's going to save it at 44,100 and at MP3 at 96. So that's a good size file, except I'm going to change that from 96 to 40. I don't want to take up too much room, so that's the larger this is, then the more room it takes. And if you're concerned about storage, which I am, then you reduce that as low as you can to make it work. Plus, it's going online, and I don't want it to take a long time to access or have it buffering as someone's listening. So there I am with that. And of course, you can change your capture size. I want it at 16. And so that's what I have. There we go. We are ready now to save. It's asking me if I want markers. I don't want that markers in there or anything else, no metadata. Just want to save the file. Okay. And it will take a few seconds to save it. The file is saved, and let's look to see. Go to where my folder is. It's in my D drive and all compressed. And there it is, cassette to MP3. We'll click it and play it.
Father God, we commit this
There
time
it
to
is. Okay, and that's how you take a cassette tape, capture your audio from it, edit it on Audition. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, anything I can help with, write it down in the comments. I'm not an expert, but if I can help, I will. Thanks for watching.